This is Richa from Mitra Foundation. We are an NGO
Family
working to connect people of all ages
family.
deeply and meaningfully with nature in any way and every way possible. So as simple as taking people for a nature walk, connecting them with nature, or maybe indulging them in art and craft. Do I have to mute somebody else also? Yes, we would prefer people to. So we focus on inherent interest of a person to be able to establish their connection with nature. Like a person, if is interested in art and craft, we promote nature connection through art and craft. Maybe the growing food or talking about ornamental plants. So that is what we do. So my connection comes from my deep rooted passion with nature, which is inherent, which was I was like I believe I was born with that. The activities we do is nature education and walks, and then the pocket food forest program we have initiated native seed bank, community native seed banks of lost varieties of food plants, native medicinal plants in gardens. Then we work with microgreens and pollinator gardens. We our major role these days is working with waste, because now what we have realized is waste has become a integral part of nature and botanical art and craft, which is very close to my heart. And please connect with the foundation and WhatsApp group, sharing the links. And yes, today we have a very dear friend joining us for the talk. Um Rahul Bora. Let me have the pleasure of introducing Rahul Bora. We were together at Bhumi College as Bhumi Teach for Nature Fellows. Rahul is the most amazing artist I have ever come across. He his sketches have a different perception of how we observe things. So a brilliant artist, and he runs an NGO, Thoughts to Action, and trying to bridge the gap between education and environment, and fostering generation of mindfulness, connectedness, and environmentally aware, kind of bringing about environmentally aware individuals. Over to you, Rahul.
Thank you so much, Richa, for this introduction. And let me give you a brief of what we will talk today. Like I got to know when I joined little earlier with Madhira, and when Richa was having a conversation, that the topics were more often, how do I say, more uh, comprehend or more depth you went in. Like the other sessions were more into plans, moringa, how do we take care. But I think today the whole conversation will be about how my journey started with nature connections, of course. Like how it says, I am a visual art facilitator. Like I call myself visual art facilitator, and we engage it with schools, of course. But how we realize that how nature education is important in the school system to integrate. And if we have to give an understanding what we work on, it's basically about well-being that we work on. And I would like to present the screen, which might help. Richa, if you can close your presentation, then I can.
Okay. I will stop presentation.
I think before starting what we do, let me tell you a story to understand the context. So imagine there are two friends who studies in class 10, so age group of nearly 16 to 18 years age group. So there are two friends who studied together, so they are kind of a best friend. So they share everything, they play together, they go to school together, after coming back together. And one of the child attended program on social emotional learning. So social emotional learning is basically about how do you know your emotions. It's about self awareness. How do you know yourself better? And they both appeared exam, and unfortunately one of the child scored less, and he had to he could not pass, or he failed in his exam. And how will the child respond to that failure, or how will the child able to handle what are the emotions that he will go through? And I think I don't have to remind the numbers of suicide that happens in schools, in colleges, or in any level when we encounter failures. And I think in the education system, I think this is what we have actually failed to address. We have given importance, a lot of importance into our intellectual part of it, that how does the art work, who is the founder of this. We have a lot of information, I guess. I think in this information age today, we don't have to actually think about what we don't know or what we can look for. But I think the education system has actually taught us everything, but not anything about us. And I think we as an organization intervenes into the education system on working the social development part of it, what we call as social emotional learning. And we do all of this through art. And the journey started with 30 children in 2019. I passed out uh, I did my master's in social work. And after my social work, I thought of starting an organization, or let's say I wanted to do more of a community work. And I was definitely clueless like any other postgraduate student at that time, or maybe in young people. I was definitely confused in life. What do I have to go ahead? But one thing was very determined that I did not wanted to get into job. And that's when, with one of my classmates in 2019, I started a community learning center. And this center was focused with children coming from very low income communities. Like children were coming from tea garden families, children were coming from daily wage laborers, they were rickshaw pullers. So this was a center that we dedicated to open for those kind of children. And in the first year, there were 30 children who joined us in the center. And we were very serious after that. We noticed this. I think that we need to take it very seriously. And we wanted this to also happen as my full time job. This is what I took it as my career. And the next year after that, I definitely looked for some support, that how can we expand this or work on this. And I got into some fellowships after that. And from that fellowship model, I think my whole journey from a community led center to a school based intervention program turned up. And today we are working with nearly 30 plus government schools in Jorhat. Through our programs, we have able to reach out to 5,000 children across what we are working. And like I said, how we defined us, we define ourselves as a group of young people who came together to work for the cause of education for children, for using art as a tool, of course, because that was a skill that we realized that we have with us. And we have registered ourselves, of course, today to also get more support. And I think we have registered ourselves as a non-profit organization who is working with, especially again, low-income government schools, schools which cannot afford art materials. And that's where we work with them. And we work with them in three ways. Like we have three programs that we call as, these are our flagship programs. So one we call is an art array program, which is basically introduction to social emotional learning and art. And that happens through summer camps or through 1 2 day workshops that we do. And the second program that we call is our art lab program, which is a 1 year intervention that we do with the schools. When we say social emotional learning, it's all about self awareness, self management, relationship building. Is basically the soft skills that a person requires. Like if you remember the story that I shared, that how would you know that what is going on, what are my emotions? Because we all have emotions, but I might be angry sometime, I might be happy, and we are, of course. But how do we channelize those energy, or how do we channelize those emotions into constructive actions later? Like suicide is an attempt that we make, it's an action that has happened, but rather how do we turn those emotions into a positive action? And that's where the whole name of the organization came also, thoughts to action. Like we have a lot of thoughts that comes, and then how do we lead into those into positive actions, actions for betterment. And I think the third program that we call is our Art for Educator program, because now for working for 4 to 5 years, we have realized that we alone going to schools will not help, and we need a lot of resources in that. Working in 5,000 children, you will need a lot of resources in that matter, and that's why we realized that why not we train the educators from the school itself. And that's how the whole program, we call it Art for Educator program. So where we have been training young people, where we have been training NGO workers, who wants to run art-based programs in their schools, basically on social emotional learning. And this has been the impact of reach out to our different kind of programs that we have worked in Johar. And these are some of the things that we measure in the schools when we work. Like if you know that in government schools, I think attendance is one of the biggest problems. Students doesn't comes to school. And I think this is what we try to look at from our intervention that we do in the school. Uh, we basically work on every Saturday in the government schools, and what we have realized in the number of times, in number of years now, that students tend to come very often on Saturdays. Like they're very happy to come to schools, and that's how we have realized that attendance has also been impacted there. And the classroom interactions, like working with them, we have realized that they are more participatory now. They're very confident in participating in different conversations that we used to have. And in one of the conversation, of course, that I will be talking now is the nature element, how it came. Because when we took our SEL classes, like the social emotional classes, we realized children talk different kinds of environmental issues that has been happening in and across them, or what they addresses. And I think how they, one of the indicator is also how do they express their feelings about it. And definitely we use art, so definitely the interpretation of artwork that we do, and from those art or from nature interventions, what are the intakes or what are the values they take for them throughout the sessions. So that's what we have been doing. And now maybe let's make this whole conversation more of an interaction, that why do you think nature education is important after that much of thing that we have been done or doing, or what are your feelings that you think that why education or why nature education is important in schools?
Can you hear us
Yeah,
now?
how you think that nature helps us to or leads us for well-being? When I'm talking about social emotional learning, it's basically about well-being. And well-being is mostly your physical health, psychological health, emotional health. So how do you connect nature with well-being? Or why you think nature education is important in the schools? Is it important, first of all, of course? If it is yes, no, why you think? I think let's make it more of a conversation. I think interaction, that will be much better to also understand, because I have my limitation of knowledge. Let's talk together. I think we will be able to understand
Yes.
why.
Rahul, I would like to interrupt in between. Let's start about how you integrate nature in education and for social, so that we know what are we, what are we getting into, or what the topic is all about. So then we can make it more interactive. But basically, we'll need to introduce and how it is done. Then we can make it more interactive.
Um, Let me give you one situation how our classes happens. We definitely take 2 hour sessions in the government schools. As we said, we work on every Saturday, and it has become interesting to work now, and also a little bit in not very challenging, I would rather say, because after the National Education Policy 2020 has come up, schools have been also looking at how classroom becomes more of a visual art or creative manner. How can or engage them in um, activity based learning, or how do we give exposure? And I think one of the sessions that we beautifully do is nature journaling and nature walks, that we take children to the outside of the classroom. And the project that I'm engaged currently, like Richa mentioned, that we are part of one of the fellowship called Teach for Nature Fellowship, and where my whole idea of my project is all about collecting stories of climate change from the children. And these are the stories what children are creating, and we as an organization is just documenting those stories in form of comics. Like they narrate their stories and we collect. And I think our whole idea behind this is that how do we build that interconnectedness? So how do we build that connectedness with the nature? How can we learn from nature? Because that's what my question was. Why do you think that nature education is important, and how do you think that nature is connected to well-being? And what I have realized working with our children is that nature has given a lot of inspiration, or let's say nature isn't web, like we are just one species out of it. And because of the globalization, because of deforestation, now a lot of things are getting distinct. Like we are not able to see them anymore. And these are stories coming up from children. That 2 3 years back I used to say this. 2 3 years we had a river in our community. We had a pond because people wanted to build house there. They have put land or submerge the whole pond. Now we don't get this kind of fish. And I think these are stories that we are collecting the story from the children and trying to document that. And the whole idea after this is that we interview into government schools later, saying why nature education is important. And these are some of the stories what children have collected. And we want to build a curriculum on nature education and say that why it is important and how we have been working and how we want to work with the schools. So yeah, that's why I wanted to have a more of a conversation instead that to understand how you have been feeling or what is your connection with nature. That might also give me an understanding that what else can be brought to the classrooms. So let's come back to
Yes.
the same question again. Why do you think nature education is important in schools?
So
What are
now,
your thoughts?
now the floor is open to all the participants here. Madhya, Anushka, Anshu, Namisha, and Save the Tiger first, and of course me. Yes. So Rahul is asking all of us, how do you think and why do you think nature is important as a medium of education? Yes. Okay, okay. So Rahul is asking Namisha, how and why do you think nature education is important as a medium of education? You know?
For Namisha,
Well,
why
I
do you
don't think.
think how do you find your happiness in nature, or do you find happiness in nature? If
Hmm.
Yes,
yes,
I
why?
find happiness in nature, and I
Why?
like, and because nature gives us a lot of shade, and it's good for us. And whenever you're in a nice forest where there's not too much sun, everything is really cool, really awesome,
Okay.
and that helps when trekking.
Yes,
Okay.
Rahul, this perception comes from a place like Jaipur, which is dry and hot. Okay, for you it is all sun is a blessing. For us, sun can be scorching. So we always
Yeah,
look
yeah,
for,
yeah, I
when
get it. I
outdoors,
get
we'll
it.
look for shades rather than, just the difference. Yes. Yes, Firdaus, you can unmute yourself and talk about it if you want.
Ma'am, actually, everybody's voice is breaking in between. Can you comment?
Comment.
Yeah, 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 you
Yeah.
can also comment. No problem.
Okay, okay. So
You can write it in the chat.
I see Madhya is asking something. I can't unmute. Lots of disturbance here in my network. My network is bad. So there was some comment from Madhya, I believe. Um,
Yes, I have seen what Madira has written. Uh, though I did not wanted to bring this because I see there is an intergenerational audience that we have from a very small age to a elder age. But still, let me bring this. Like how Madhira said, because she might also understand as a teacher why this is important. Like we, as an in the development sector, we talked about sustainable development goals, and if you look at our sustainability or the sustainable goals that we have in those livings, I think nature is an integral part to learn for, because until we have harmony in walking or the way how we walk, it doesn't have sustainability aspects on it. And I think like what Madhya is saying, everything will extinct, and it will not far that the human species also might get extinct from this space. And I think from nature, that one of the things that we say in our classroom that we try to address is the values that we learn from all of the sessions that we do. And I think nature has taught us a lot of values in that matter, like how to respect diversity. If you go to a forest, when Nisha was saying that she feels happy when she goes to forest because she sees different kind of trees there, and we get shades. And I think it's in a forest that we can learn from the diversity that it has, but yet at the same time how it is living in harmony. I think the value in our classroom that we are trying to address in our students is that we come from different backgrounds. The students come from different backgrounds, but at the same time, how can we be, how can we walk in a group? How can we maintain those relationships? And also, how can we also understand about our well-being, and also how can we contribute to that whole classrooms that happens. I think these are some of the skills, you might also agree with me, these are some of the skills that are very much required in the sector that we are living in now. That how do we know to work in a team, how do you know to collaborate, how do you know to manage your emotions, and at the same time how do you maintain your relationship one with one another. I think these are lessons that we have integrated from the nature into living in the world that we are living in and to make our living. And I think when we are introducing nature education and values of nature education from the early stage of education, I think we are creating or we are investing in the future of the children, and what characteristics are we actually building throughout the education. Like I said, the problem that we see while working in the government schools are that they really don't have excess funds for art material things, excess funds for activity based learning or experiential learning based programs. And I think which is a sad reality, but I think it's important that how can we integrate more of a more holistic way of learning for children. I think I prepared for this, but to little bit of understanding what we do, I just wanted to introduce a simple exercise. Maybe if you are ready with a pen and a paper, I think
Yes,
you could
yes. Is
pen.
I have a pen and a paper. So what about Ankita, Save the Tiger first, Anushka, Anshu, and Maria? I believe Navisha is having a very bad connection today.
And
Rejoining
I
us.
also am apologize for that because I did not inform anyone before, but I did not realize that we will have so much of time even after this much of talk. I thought this will be more of a conversation, though still it's okay. But I think we
Because
still have half an hour with
I
us.
believe
So,
Maria is traveling, so she'll not be able to unmute herself.
okay, okay, okay.
So let's like
I think
Anushka is
it
having
might
a
be a reflection for you guys to think about that. How do we introduce? If you can practice or even don't practice, I think it will be
okay,
how we use nature education and art together, like how we integrate art and nature education together will be an understanding of what we do. So if you have a pen and a paper, I think I would request you, you can do it in any way, whether it's in
okay,
portrait mode or landscape mode, however you do. We will make lines. So make sure that I will have 10 questions for you.
okay,
So make sure that you make those gaps in a proper manner. Like you understand that the gaps that you're making. So you will have 10 questions. So one question, the answer that you write here, and then you draw one line.
okay,
Draw one line. So like that, you will have 10 questions. So
okay.
now that you understand that how to maintain the gap that you will maintain. Uh,
Rahul, what you can also do is add that the question to the chat box also. That would be
Correct.
great.
That I can do
Yeah, so
definitely.
people who do not have a pen and a paper right now can just
I'll
answer
write.
it. Yes, that would be great. For others, they can continue with their pen and paper thing. Yeah, okay.
So the first question is, what are or what is your earliest memory of being in nature? Take a time. What is your or what are your earliest memories of being in nature? You can definitely also type in the chat. Though it would have been interesting to see in the notebook, but it's okay. I think when we are done, let's give a thumbs up so that I understand we are done. This become interesting when you use colors also in the way. Emphasis might not have, but let me do it so that you later understand what we do in our classrooms. So when you are writing, what are your earliest memories of being in nature? So when you have wrote the answer, also please color that whatever color that comes to your mind.
Okay, okay, okay. Great, great.
You have colors with you.
Yes.
Not then I understand.
You did not tell us to bring colors now.
Yes, yes, yes. I understand. I understand all of
Oh, it
this.
is okay, but it is okay. Yeah, I would like to color mine.
So the next question is, how do you feel when you are surrounded by nature? And when you are done, if you have colors, write it and then color it. So what colors come to your mind? So the next question is, what is your favorite way to spend time in nature? Like, what do you like to do in nature? When you are in nature, what is that you like to do? Hiking, running, singing, or what is your favorite way of spending your time in nature? So the next question would be that, yes, I think you're done. Okay. So the next question would be that, how has nature influenced your perspective on life, or it has helped you in relationship or in general in the world? How has nature helped you, or what are the value that you have taken basically from nature that has helped you in life or in relationship or in general in the whole world? How it has helped you? So the fifth question would be, like, how do you see your role in protecting or preserving the environment? How do you view your role? Like, what can you do to protect or preserve the environment? As an individual, how do you think, how can you contribute? So the sixth question would be, like, how do you think nature has inspired your creativity, or how have you been, like, how has it influenced and how are you using it now? Like, the question is, does being in nature inspire your creativity, or how it has influenced your artistic or professional work? Like, what you have taken from nature, how are you using it in your personal life now or in your professional work? So we have four more questions to go. I hope you are not tired.
Yeah, not. And others I have muted, have like are all muted now. So yes. So I hope everybody is enjoying this questionnaire as much as I am. It is, kind of opening up the mind to see how how we understand nature and how we work with it. Okay, yes, we can do with the sixth
Okay.
question. Yes.
So the next question would be that, what do you think the world would look like if more people had stronger relationship with nature? Like, you see that trees are cutting down, this and that happens, but what if people start, or people you will have more stronger relationship with nature, what might happen, or what do you think the world would look like then? The next question is more interesting. Imagine trees can talk, so what would you say to them?
Us saying to the trees?
Yeah, what would you say to them? Okay, so the second last question is that, how, or is there any natural place or ecosystem that you dream? Like, how is your dream of a future world? How would that be? And how would you like to design that? So my question, I have put it in a way that, is there a natural place or ecosystem you dream of exploring? What attracts you to that environment? Like, what will be your ideal, or how is your dream environment that you see, or how would you like to live? Please ask me if you are not understanding the questions. I can explain. If you're done, so the last question would be that, how do you contribute to environmental sustainability in your daily life? Like, how are you doing anything to protect this environment? So if you're done, I would request you to show your drawing, what you have done.
Yes, color.
So if you have done it, please show your drawing, switch on the camera, and you can just show it like this, what you have done.
Yes.
So thank you so much everyone for doing this. So I understand that all of you could not do it because you were traveling this and that, but I would have loved to listen to your feedback. You can write it in your chat box as well. But again, congratulations, because what you have done now is what you have learned to draw what is called line art. So this is what we call as a line art. You have drawn lines, and there are different forms of line art. This is, of course, but this is one of a line art, which is a very basic way of doing line art. And in those, what you have done is vented out about your connections with nature, your understanding of your future of looking at nature. I think this is what our classroom also looks like. When we go to a classroom, we use art as a tool to build that connections between the nature. So we definitely also do experiential learning programs, where outdoor events, like where we take children out for nature walk. There are elder children, adolescents who are also working on waste management in the schools, and this is what we as an organizations are also helping them in building their capacities into it, and most importantly, their relationship with the nature, how it is important to bring it to them. And I would show it. So this is what definitely through a TFN, through a Teach for Nature fellowship that I am in currently, I'm trying to collect stories of such kind, like when children will write their stories, and we want to document this in a form of a comic book, and we will later present this to the education department of Assam, that why nature education is important, and how can we advocate, or how we can introduce nature education in the classrooms for the age group of 6 to 14. And for the adolescents from 16 to 18 age group, we have been doing mostly on social action projects, which are connecting them with nature related programs. There are children who are working on waste management, there are children working on different kinds of plastic materials, how do they reuse and making use in their daily lives in the schools, and these are what they are doing. And to conclude, so we are a very small team, of course. We are a team of 5 people, but I think our whole strength is on our volunteer base, and also the Art for Educator program that we do. And so that's why we have written, so this is our team, and also plus 150 plus volunteers who are engaged with us in this moment. So currently we have 50 to 60 active volunteers who goes to schools every day, but we have a database now who nearly we have 170 80 volunteers in the group. And that's all. Thank you so much. I would love to listen to some feedbacks, maybe how it was for you, and what how could have been improved. That we, though I thought we'd make it more of an interactive session rather than I tell things what I do, listen to, but it would have been better if we could also now listen. How did you feel, or what else you want to know? Of course, I'm still open to answer to all of those things.
So, Navisha, what do you have to tell about the talk you were a part of just now? I believe you kind of were on and off because of the bad connection you had today. Okay, okay. So yes, Madhya, Madhya, would you lock? Is it okay for you to unmute yourself and talk about it? And Pavan, and Save the Tiger first. So we would like people to raise hands and unmute themselves and talk about it.
Hi, good evening, Richa. This is Paddy here.
Okay, Barry. Yes. Okay, great.
Right.
Good to connect
So
you.
I think it's a very wonderful session, and it's very what I can say, thought provoking for children to think on those lines. So children, of course, when they see around and everything, that is another thing. But when they're you know led to these kind of thought processes, I think a lot can evolve. So really nice, and some of the questions were really connecting to me also. I mean, yeah, of course, me also means I got connected. So it's very wonderful, thought-provoking, and a very nice way to evoke a lot of consciousness. Thank you
Consciousness.
for the
Yes.
session, Shah, and also Rahul.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
glad to hear from you, Patty, about this. Yes, it was enlightening. Yes, it opened, some closed corners of the brain and kind of stimulated us to explore our connection and how we perceive nature, how we would talk with trees if they were our, if they could talk.
Yeah.
That was the most interesting part. I could not have thought of that.
Absolutely. That's what. And then I also had another question, note from the other side. What if trees could talk to us?
Yes, yes, and
So,
we would like to hear from you the answer also. Yes.
and the wonderful part was when Rahul said about the lineup. So that was very, intriguing for me. I think you are a, art person. So that was the insight for me. Thank you.
Yes, and then we would all like to hear from you. What if trees could talk to you? What would they say to you? Yes. And you're the right person to even answer that, I believe, with the connection you have with the nature.
Are you, I mean, are you, indicating to me, Richa?
Yeah. Paddy, yes, to you, yeah.
Okay, I thought you were asking Rahul to speak. Okay, if trees could speak to us, I mean, first of all, trees probably would say that give us a little space, give us the sunlight, take care of us, and we will help you in return for whatever you've done to us. They're always giving. So I think to the younger minds, I think probably they would say that we would really become your friends for lifetime. And for the people who have more gray hair, I think they would probably tell us that be tolerant and be tolerant with us. That's what I would think trees will tell us.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you
This
so
was
much.
this was beautiful. Madhya, do you have to say something on these lines? Yes, if you can unmute your. And by the way, Paddy, Madhya wants to participate in nature walks that are happening in Bangalore. So, requesting you to connect with her, Madhya Firdaus.
Sure, sure,
She's
sure.
from Bangalore. I believe Nilima also
Okay.
coordinated with you. I shared your numbers with her.
No, I haven't yet. I
Okay,
have to.
okay.
I was a bit tied up. I thought of I'll speak with them today or not today, maybe tomorrow because yesterday, today I was a little bit tied up. So I'll speak
Okay.
to them tomorrow. The number that you shared, and also kindly share the numbers of the others so we can all.
Okay. I'll share Madhya's number if I have. Madhya's, would you mind
Yes.
sharing your numbers with me personally or with me? Should be okay. I'll share it with Paddy. Yes. So yes, my take is like I really was okay. I'll share. Thank you, Madhya. Thank you. Yes, I got it. You're not able to unmute yourself. Yes. So yes, my take would be if trees could talk, or if I could talk with trees, would be let's be friend and let's be we as individuals we are leave us alone. Do not interfere so much with us and let us live and let live. Yes.
Yeah. I think Madhya is saying that she also sharing the chat box. So there.
She wants to share the number, I believe. Yes, because she wanted
Okay.
somebody to because Paddy is taking people for the nature walk in Bangalore, and not just the Kaban Park. And she focuses on taking people in and around the places where they live to help them understand the flora and the fauna. I believe Paddy fauna also.
Yes, that's right. So basically, my interest and study area and expertise is also in trees. Of course, whenever we are with the trees, there will be fauna also. So it's a inseparable part, the flora and fauna. That is something that we'll have to understand. So, and fauna is not only just the four-legged animals or the ones that are seen. There are so many tiny creatures like ants and spiders and different kind of things. How do they interact? How does it impact the tree? What are the interactions? So these are the, yeah. If we have both these, yeah, we obviously share and learn from that opportunity basically. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Are we done with the talk? Uh, so we have just Madhya and Paddy with us now. Most people, I believe, have already left the conversation, the talk. Do we have any more questions for Rahul today?
And one thing is, we can definitely change all of these questions. How relevant when we work with children, you find that we understand, oh, this is something that we don't want to touch upon, or something deeper that we want to go in. So I think definitely with the age group, with the backgrounds, or with the culture of the children coming from, I think definitely these questions can be modified. But the whole idea is that the questions where the relationship that we share with nature and to integrate or to provoke them, and the relationship that we can share, and also the future imagination of like how do I can contribute to make it a better place. So I think this was the whole intention. Of course, some of the questions might have touched you, some of the questions might not have, but the whole idea is that, okay, how do we build that whole narrative in general. And of course, like I said, we are an art-based organization. Like we use art as a tool in addressing well-being through nature or this. So that's why we have some or little bit of art into it definitely. And one of our challenge was definitely when we started working in our center, people also gave in the center thinking that we would be teaching them conventional art, like there will be a teacher drawing in the blackboard and they will be copying it. But I think slowly and gradually we have been also able to break that notion from people that when we are talking about art, art is definitely a language that we are using here, like how by talking we can share about things, by listening to stories how we share, by writing how we share. I think art is also a beautiful expression of tool which help us to actually ventilate or share what we think. And I think this is what we are trying to do when we are saying or using art in all of our programs. Yeah, and also thank you so much, Richa, for giving this opportunity. I would also love to thank you for actually believing in me that I am also capable of talking or sharing my work to.
You are like taking care of 5,000 students. Like you're engaging 5,000 students, so the definitely lot to contribute to. You know, it is just not regional. The place where you live, but we wanted you to spread your uh, knowledge to different places. So thank you so much, Rahul, for joining us today for this amazing talk we had on connection, establishing nature connection, and for emotional well-being. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paddy and Maria, for staying with us till the end. With that, we'll close the talk. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Yeah. Okay. Bye bye. Take
Bye
care.
bye.